Hello again. Today is Wednesday, September the 10th, 2014, and it's about 12 o'clock my time. I wanted to make this video to make a public correction on a blog post that I have on WordPress.com, and I'll post the link to the blog in the description section, and also link this video with the blog post itself. It's concerning Mr. Dillon Taylor, 20-year-old young man that was shot and killed on August the 11th, 2014, just days after Michael Brown Jr. was shot and killed in Ferguson, Missouri. But Dillon Taylor was a 20-year-old young man from South Salt Lake City, Utah, who was apparently coming out of a 7-Eleven store in the Salt Lake City area with his older brother and a cousin of his. Long story short, I did a blog posting on Dillon's behalf and also started a petition here not too long ago on Dillon's behalf to the governor of Utah and to the Utah Department of Justice, actually to the Utah State Attorney General, basically pleading for justice on Dillon's behalf. Number one, because Dillon Taylor didn't deserve to die. Number two, because the individual in question that shot him is apparently an African-American man, and who has yet to be identified and yet really to be brought to justice. The same goes for Officer Darren Wilson, who was involved in the murdering of Michael Brown here not too long ago, as I said. Neither officer, and it doesn't matter as far as race, although it has been noted, neither officer has been brought to justice, and that's the point. It was my understanding that Dillon was on his way to the 7-Eleven store for his aunt, the woman that raised him and his brother and his cousin. But on the early morning of August the 11th, he was on his way to the store in an errand, I guess, to pick up some things. I had posted that in the blog, but I was incorrect with that. And just some basic simple R&D and research, I found out that was not the case. In fact, the boys were, I don't want to say goofing off, but they had simply walked up the street apparently to the 7-Eleven from Dillon and his brother and cousin's house, and had got something to drink and some snacks or whatever, and they were on the way back. There was a 911 call that was placed with concern for an individual that was brandishing a gun in the area, and that individual happened to fit the description of Dillon Taylor. Police stopped Dillon, they stopped his brother Gerald, and the cousin, forgive me, I think his name is Bradley, but I'm not for certain. They stopped the three young men as they were coming out of the 7-Eleven store. The two of the three young men stopped immediately, but Dillon did not. And the reason that Dillon did not is because he had apparently had a set of headphones on his head and was playing music either from a CD or an iPad or something, perhaps an iPhone, I don't know. But he was playing music, he had his headphones on, and he did not hear the officer's commands to stop, put his hands up, get down on the ground, etc. Dillon, the next thing you know, Dillon is surrounded by police officers. They have guns drawn, guns in his face, guns at eye level, and he is immediately surprised. He proceeds to do his best to follow the officer's commands, but in the process, the officers jumped the gun, opened fire on him, and he was shot and killed immediately. Couple things. One, and again, I stand corrected. Posted the wrong thing. I had mentioned that he was on the way to the store for his aunt. That was not the case. He was coming out of the 7-Eleven store with his brother and a cousin. Apparently they were in a relaxed state or whatever. Dillon was unaware that police had stopped his brother and his cousin, and of course eventually himself. Police contend that Dillon Taylor was agitated at the time that he was stopped, but that was not the case. He was simply trying to obey officers' commands, and in the process, he got shot and killed. There was also the understanding on my part that Dillon had a good, clean record, that he had no prior convictions, no prior run-ins with the law, or anything like that. Apparently there is an outstanding charge, or was an outstanding charge against him. I don't know the exact extenuating circumstances, but there was an issue there. Issue as well with his brother and with his cousin. I read in a report, and I'll link it in the description section as well, from the Inquisitor, with an interview that was given by his aunt, the woman that raised him, and she said, and I quote, "It seemed like whenever these boys took 2 steps forward to try and get their lives straightened out, they were always pushed 3 steps back." And it's a shame. But the point is that this young man did not have to die. It doesn't matter if he had a record or not, if his brother had a record or not, or if his cousin had a record or not. It was a simple misunderstanding, a miscommunication. The young man had his headphones on. He was walking back to his aunt's home with his brother and with his cousin, minding his own business, doing his own thing, and it just so happened that prior to that there was a 911 call in the area. The police came, reported somebody brandishing a gun or showing a gun or whatever, and the individual in question just so happened to fit Dillon's description. By all accounts, from his brother, Dillon's brother, and from his cousin, Dillon did not have a weapon on him. He was not agitated. He was doing his dead level best to follow commands and instructions per the police, trying to take his headphones off, trying to position himself where he could get out on the ground as commanded, and in the process, the police shot and killed this young man. And at least one officer, okay, is supposedly supposed to be held accountable for the young man's death, but has yet to be brought to justice. I don't understand that. I started a petition on CARE 2 in the interest of justice, and I hope and I pray that you will join me and join others. There's nearly 60 people now since I've started the petition. There's nearly 60 people, aside from myself, that have signed up, signed our names to the petition. It's going to Governor Gary Herbert. He's the governor of the state of Utah, and he has yet to do anything on this young man's behalf. And we are encouraging him and encouraging his administration to get involved and to correct the record and clear this young man of any wrongdoing and give his family justice, because in the end, that's all that matters, is that this young man received justice. There was no rhyme and no reason for him to be murdered. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.